Well, thanks for joining us today. My name's Andrew Herr. I ran human performance and biotech strategy efforts for the US military for 7 years, everything from research and development strategy to clinical trials to getting Navy SEALs ready to deploy. And now at Fount, we run the most customized and comprehensive coaching programs in the world, design products for entrepreneurs, executives, pro athletes, and special operators to enhance their performance. And I'm incredibly excited to be here today with Shane, two-time NBA champion, and a pioneer of data-driven performance on the court to talk about the future of health and performance. But before I start, I'd like to share a story from 2 weeks ago. John came to us at Fount because he'd been waking up every hour at night when he was trying to sleep. And when he finally got out of bed in the morning, his gut was bothering him terribly. And the most interesting thing about this was that John's a doctor. He diagnosed and treated thousands of people, and yet he couldn't help himself, nor could the 7 doctors he'd seen who'd ordered hundreds of tests, blood tests, scans, colonoscopy. So why was John stuck at square one? And I'd like to say that there are 2 reasons that the current health and performance world is leaving people behind. And I want to share those with you and then also give you the answer for how we are moving forward based on the principles that people like Shane pioneered on the court and we pioneered in the military. So the challenge is that there is a tremendous amount of variability between people. The thing that is optimal for me could be bad for you and do nothing for a third person. And we see this every day with our clients at Fount. One client is a unicorn executive building a huge company, and he wants to focus better. He can use the amino acid L-tyrosine, which is a precursor to dopamine. But meanwhile, the founder of another big company, that gives him bad headaches. If you Google, should I eat breakfast? You will find that the answer is definitely, definitely not, and maybe. And what we see with our clients is actually that's right. That for one client, it improves their energy, focus, mood, and stress resilience, and that for another person, fasting does the same thing. And it's not all just about physiology. It's also about your goals. So almost any of our executive clients would like to lower their blood pressure to optimize both their performance now and make sure they're set up for longevity. But if you lower the blood pressure of a fighter pilot, you can actually kill them because if they're making high G turns and the blood's being pulled away from their brain, they can black out. And I might be able to give you a protocol to perform at high altitude, but if I give it to one of our UFC clients and it thins their blood, they're going to bleed more during that fight, and that's not going to help them. So there's a tremendous amount of variability between people. Of the 100 interventions that help most, any given person in this audience is going to be helped by some and hurt by others. And the challenge is that the data we have today from studies and clinical trials actually doesn't allow you to say what exactly will work for you. These are 20, 40, maybe 100-person studies where they're only looking at the average outcome instead of knowing what's working for each person in there. And I would say that for anyone in the crowd, would you want to run your business based on the average results of your competitors? Or do you want to run your business or team or military unit based on the actual results from your own team? I think pretty clear that we don't want to act like the average of everyone else. And so let's come back then to John. What's the solution for somebody who's been failed by the current system? And the answer is N of 1 experimentation, data-driven experimentation. It's about moving away from the average and moving to using your own data, running an experiment, and seeing if it works for you. And so for John, he had a sleep problem and a gut problem. And so at first, we started off experimenting with his sleep. But unfortunately, temperature and light and all the tools we normally use for sleep didn't help him that much. But that doesn't mean we gave up, because then we can move to experimenting with his gut. And 3 experiments later, by cutting out potatoes and tomatoes from his diet, he had the first week in 4 years where he could sleep and he didn't wake up in pain. So this N of 1 experimentation model drives the ability to solve problems and enhance performance. If I look at one of our clients who was taking their company public, and for all the founders in the audience, you know that means it was a year and a half ago because the IPO market hasn't been very hot lately. He had a tough high childhood, so his fight or flight system, his sympathetic nervous system was tuned up high. That means if you use caffeine or the Adderall his doctor prescribed him, it might help him focus a little bit, but he couldn't sleep at night and his overall performance dropped. So we experimented with meditation. He liked it, but it didn't help calm that system down. We experimented with supplements like L-theanine, which is an amino acid that can calm the stress system. Helped a little bit. We tried breath work, helped a lot, calmed down his system, and then figured out finally that the combination of theanine and tyrosine and breath work all together gave him the focus he needed, and there's no way to come to that solution without experimentation. So what I want to say today is we have an incredible opportunity to move from one size fits all to appreciating that one size fits none to figuring out what works exactly for you. And so I'm excited to be here with Shane, who's, as I said, such a pioneer in bringing data to these approaches. And I want to ask him to share, his approach both on the court and what he's experienced with his health since then. Thanks, Shane.
Well, thank you, Andrew. I've got a question for you. What does guarding Kobe Bryant and trying to optimize your health have in common? It can both go very, very badly for you. All right, my name is Shane Battier. I played 13 years in the NBA, two-time NBA champion. But most notably, most people know me as the no-stat all-star, okay? I was a player who had very modest stats. I didn't jump very high. The average fan would say, Battier, he's okay. He's really good looking, but he's just an average basketball player. But every team I played on won at a super, super high level. Michael Lewis wrote an article on me called the No Stats All-Star, explaining how I leverage data and the small little surplus points of expected value to become a very, very good basketball player and make my teams play at a championship level. Now, I learned all this when I got traded to the Houston Rockets in 2006. Now, the Houston Rockets were the first team in professional basketball to have an entire organization based on data analytics. All right, this has been happening in baseball with Billy Beane and Theo Epstein and Moneyball, but no one dared try it in basketball until the Houston Rockets. And two pioneers, guys named Daryl Morey, Sam Hinkie, in one of their first models, they said, we want to find the players who bring outsized value but cost very, very little. Guess who that guy was? Number one on top of the list, me. I'm what all y'all trying to find, cheap labor, right? That produces. Well, in my journey going to Houston, I understood the importance of basketball data analytics. And it allowed me to look at the game in an entirely different way. Before the analytic era, when I'm trying to guard Kobe Bryant here, I would read an advanced scouting report. And before the game, the scouting report would say, Kobe Bryant, great right hand, capable three-point shooter, will take over in the fourth quarter. And I said, guys, you're killing me here. I know that Kobe's going to take over in the fourth quarter, all right? I don't need a scouting report to tell me that. So I knew the what, I did not know the how or the why. Well, fast forward to the analytic age, where we're able to measure every little spot on the basketball court and assign a value to it. So now in Houston, when I'm reading a scouting report about Kobe Bryant, I know that when Kobe Bryant goes to his right hand and he gets in the painted area, when you factor in not only makes and misses, but fouls drawn, free throws off those fouls drawn, turnovers, passes to teammates, shots off those passes, all the outcomes of a Kobe Bryant right-hand drive, it's worth 62%, which is why he's one of the greatest players of all time. But when I sent him to his left hand and kept him out of the painted area, when you factor in makes and misses and free throws and turnovers and passes and makes, it's only a 42% shot. Now, you don't have to be a math major from MIT to know if I'm guarding one of the greatest players of all time, I want him to do the 42% thing and not the 62% thing, all right? Not if you agree. Yes, okay, smart group here, right? And so, for me, basketball became one big decision tree. There was an optimal decision and a suboptimal decision at every point in the game. And I became obsessed. I became obsessed with what was the optimal decision for me as a basketball player and for my team. And I tried to make that play. Now, did I always have success? No. Did I have success a lot? Yes. So I became so infatuated, so obsessed with not the result, but the process. What were the environmental factors that led to that result? Whether Kobe Bryant made or missed a shot was immaterial. I didn't care. What I cared about was what led to that shot. And so that was the value of analytics and being obsessed about process in your own businesses, in your own companies, right? You can't always control the outcome. What you can control is your process every day, your mindset. Where are the little pieces of expected value that you can pick up with your teams, with your clients, with your customers, right? You obsess about that. Well, what does this have to do with health? So when I retired 9 years ago, if you can believe it, I was in good shape. I was healthy. But I see a lot of my former colleagues in the NBA sort of let themselves go. The rate of heart disease is very high for ex-athletes because they just let it go. I didn't want to be that guy. And so I use the same mentality of how can I gain little pieces of expected value and improve my process when it comes to my health. And that's why I'm so thankful to find Andrew, and Andrew and I have worked for many, many years now on trying to optimize my health. And a quick story, when I retired, I'm one of those like crazy psycho guys. I read a book, I'm going to do it. Well, before I met Andrew, every morning I would wake up and I would fast. I would do the 16-hour fast. Well, not only that, I would work out. I'd do a HIIT exercise every day. Not only that, I'd cold plunge right after my workout. Right after that, I would take all my vitamins, my vitamin C, and all my supplements. All those things in a vacuum are awesome, right? But when I started working with Fount, we tested my blood, we still do, monthly for the hormonal balance, the hormonal checklist. And Andrew said, Shane, I don't know what you're doing, but your levels of estrogen and stress hormone are way higher than they should be for a professional athlete. And what we found was that while the individual exercises were sound, the protocol of stacking all those things on top of each other were actually hurting my body. So when we talk about N of 1, we went through the entire experiment. Okay, let's try cold plunging in the afternoon. Let's try working out in the afternoon. Let's try eating a small breakfast, high-protein breakfast early in the morning. And wouldn't you know it, after a few weeks, my hormonal levels balanced. So I would like to thank Andrew for coming into my life and allowing me to continue the no-stat all-star mindset of controlling the process towards optimal health. And so I'm happy to work with him now, not only bring this to professional athletes and CEOs, but to the masses, because everyone deserves a chance to optimize their health.
Thanks, Shane. That's amazing. I've never had anyone point at me when they were talking about Kobe Bryant. I'm both shorter, less skilled, and several other ways different, but I'm a big Kobe fan, so I'll take it. And thanks for the kind words. How many people in the audience have had John's experience where you've had a challenge and nobody's been able to help you? Doctors haven't been able to help you. Give me a nod if you've experienced something. Maybe it's small, maybe it's big. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people in the audience reacting to that. And so our goal at Fount, look, I love figuring out that before Shane gives a talk, he should take cocoa flavanols, which are an extract from cacao, from chocolate, that modulates your stress hormone levels, makes your blood vessels more flexible, and gives you good focus. I should meditate. Others of our clients should do breath work. A fourth one should do high-intensity interval training exercises, like maybe you've heard Tony Robbins does sprints before he gets on stage. I love figuring that out for the best of the best, including the no-stat best of the best. But I also want to make this available for everybody. So now I want to talk quickly about how do we go from elite coaching to helping millions of people. You know, when I worked for the military, look, I know how to tune up 1,000 Navy SEALs. You build a facility, you bring in expert coaches, you run this experimentation, great. But how do we go from there to 100,000 Army grunts? How do we go from the C-suite to the factory floor, or everybody else in the building, or now that people work from home, maybe, you know, from their kitchens or their bathrooms or wherever people work these days? And the answer is, thankfully, that this N of 1 experimentation model actually allows you to solve not only your own challenges, but it allows us to solve it for everyone. So how does that work? If I gather data on a group of you in a normal study, and there's 50 or thankfully hundreds of you in the audience today, and I take the average, I don't know what that average means about you, or you, or you, or in the pink in the back. But if I gather data on experiments, individual experiments, and keep that data separate for hundreds of you, for dozens of experiments, then suddenly I have the highest fidelity data set in the history of healthcare. And I can start to ask, for people with these blood markers, or people with this demographic or biodata, or this environment, or these goals, what works better for them? And the beauty is, I don't have to know the exact answer. I don't have to know that 3.74 minutes of breath work plus this supplement and standing on your head is going to get you exactly where you want to go. I just need to know what direction to start experimenting in. And so at Fount, what we've done is we've built Fount Pro, which is our elite coaching service, provide to people like Shane, lots of founders, business executives, as well as, you know, athletes and special operators. And we run that coaching service to give you the best outcomes in the world. We give you a former Navy SEAL or Army Ranger as a coach, and we tune you up. And the data from your experiments, obviously de-identified, and we never share anyone's individual data, but the data from your experiments actually is contributing to us being able to build AI and machine learning models that can predict what direction you should go. What is the most likely thing to work for you, so that we can customize and set up the experiments and give you the tips and tricks. So you tell somebody that you want them to eat a higher protein diet and give them some parameters, but let me tell you the biggest trick in the world for eating a high protein diet, it's a rotisserie chicken. I kid you not, our clients, some of whom are very wealthy, very successful, the trick that helps more people eat better than any other is going into Whole Foods or wherever and getting a rotisserie chicken. Because then you've always got protein in the fridge. It tastes pretty good. Grab a piece off. I know people, they call it a snacking chicken. It's a great snack. So what are these simple tools that you can then build into experiments and collect the data? So we're talking about blood work data, hormones, inflammation, liver and kidney function, lipids for longevity. We're talking about wearable data like from your Whoop or Oura Ring or Apple Watch that allow us to look at your stress levels. That HRV metric that nobody ever explains very well can measure your stress hormone levels. Sleep quality. Sleep's the master recovery tool. So if you're sleeping better, boom, that's going to give you more juice the next day, and it's going to build up over time. So what we've done is we've built the most unique data set in the history of healthcare. And I'll just give you two examples to show kind of proof that this approach works. So we accidentally discovered that a supplement that we were hoping would work for workout recovery didn't. That's not that interesting a discovery. What's interesting is it gave some people 20% more deep sleep at night. If you could have 20% more deep sleep every night, You're going to have more energy, focus, inflammation lower. That's going to make a big difference in your life. But here's the thing. Only a third of people get dramatically better sleep. Another third of people sleep worse. And the last third of people have no effect. So if you run a standard clinical trial and look at the average of better, worse, and the same, it's going to tell you it had no effect. But because we're doing N of 1 experimentation, we've now discovered a tool that for a third of people is a game changer for their sleep. So what we're doing is building this data set, designing protocols. For example, we also discovered, based on our clients who are coming back, flying in from international trips, that their inflammation levels were higher. And based on work we'd done with the military and the Navy SEAL community, we knew that pressure changes could cause inflammation in your body. So maybe you in the audience, when you fly, your gut doesn't feel right, your brain fog, joints hurt more, your legs swell. These are all inflammatory effects. And so discovering this, we could run N of 1 experiments, and now we've developed a protocol where we can give you an app that customizes when you take supplements, when you eat and sleep, and 93% of you can go to Europe, Asia, Australia with no jet lag and sleep well your first night. So this approach works. And it has the potential now, as we build this data set, to launch digital coaches. So you don't need to pay me. You don't need to pay the Army Rangers on my team to give you a digital coach. That means millions of people can have access to what was once only available to professional athletes and the C-suite. And so we're incredibly excited to be launching that product, Fount AI. And so I just want to leave it with this. I don't care who you work with. If you come talk to us at our booth, it's right back that direction, right next to the Volkswagen stage, right next to Portugal. Come talk to us and we'll give you some advice. We can give you a free consult. You can see some of these jet lag products. But even if you don't visit us or don't work with us, I want to leave you with this. Integrate N of 1 data-driven experimentation into your life. Shane did it with Kobe, and Shane has 2 NBA championships. We do it with our clients and solve challenges that have been there for years and help them amp up their performance to take their company public, to build, to help more people, for run nonprofits. If you do that, you will find value for yourself, and as is our mission at Fount, you'll be able to use the more energy, focus, and better mood to help more people from your family, community, and the world. So thank you, Shane. It's been incredible to be up here. Thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to chatting with any of you. Shane and I will be at our Fount booth after this.
Thank you.